Howdy, everyone. I'm gonna play a little vamp here while we wait for everyone to roll on in. Where's everyone tuning in from? Drop it in the chat. I'm back home in London now. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. Nice sunny day, I bet, down in Greensboro. Hey, Belfast, I'll be there in 2 weeks. Really looking forward to my first trip over to Belfast and for the Belfast Ukulele Festival. Almost there. It's going to be a really fun one. Just got back from the Prague Festival, the Czech Ukulele Festival right outside of Prague. Dusseldorf. Nice. Hey, Klaus. Gallian. How are y'all? It's good to see familiar names down in the chat. One day I'll make it over to the Netherlands. I'll get there. Eventually. And Dusseldorf, for that matter. I will be in Germany next year. I don't know how close to Dusseldorf, though, unfortunately. I'm very, very bad with geography. I'm American. Don't hold it against me. Hey, Rachel San Diego, you're up nice and early. Chicago. That's what I like to see. Good old Central Time. The time zone that always eludes me when I'm trying to figure out where in the world I am. Hey, Gary in New York. Good to see you. You're on my old time zone. Now's a good time while we're just saying hi to everyone to get your ukes tuned up if you haven't yet. Hey, Ralph in Seattle. Hey, Wendy, good to see you. The Canadians checking in. Here's a link to the PDF for today, which you absolutely don't need. And if you've already printed out the PDF, just throw it away or turn it over because we don't need it whatsoever. But it'll be nice to remember things for after the fact when we get off the stream. PDF's there for you, but I prefer if you don't use it. Willow Grove. It's close enough to Philadelphia for me. We're almost there. Good to see so many familiar faces down in the chat. We'll give everyone just 2 more minutes to come in, but I'm gonna play a little tune in the meantime. Actually, the first tune that we're gonna learn today. We're gonna learn 2 tunes / 5 tunes today, depending on how you want to look at it. So we're gonna go through really fast, but don't worry. It's going to be easy. We're going to use chords that you probably already know. Nothing fancy. So for now, I'm going to, satiate myself by playing some of those other chords that maybe we're not going to work on today. So it'll be a little bit something like this. Please don't talk about me when I'm gone, dear mama. Though our friendship ceases from now on. If you can't say anything real nice, don't talk at all, that's my advice. You go your way, I go mine, now it's best that we do. Here's a kiss, I hope that this brings lots of luck to you. Makes no difference how I carry on. Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Your way, I go mine, it's best that we do. It's kids, I hope that this it brings lots of luck to you. Please don't, no difference who you are. It's better, please don't talk about me. Well, don't you talk about me. Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. It's gonna be our first little tune that we're learning. And I'll even remember the lyrics maybe when we go through it. But you'll see why I have other lyrics stuck in my head right now as we go along, because that's half the fun of what we're talking about today is how to play swing music, yes, but how also to build a repertoire of songs without needing to memorize 500 tunes. Because the more that we talk about how to learn these songs efficiently, the more time we can spend just playing music, which is what I would much prefer to be doing all the time than staring at a song sheet and trying to figure things out. But before we start talking about that, we got to get our right hand moving so that we don't have to worry about it. And then we can worry about the left hand, what it's doing, and how to make it play the chords that we need for this song and many other songs. Let's talk about our right hand or your strumming hand. If you happen to be left-handed, it might be your left hand as well. And that's all right. So let's all put down a C major chord. Good old C major. And I'm going to be strumming with my index finger for everything we're going to talk about today. If you're a thumb strummer, it's absolutely okay. You can strum with your thumb all day too. You can strum with your index finger. Whatever you default to is absolutely fine. We'll talk about upstrokes with both of them when we get there. When we're playing a swing rhythm, swing music from the 30s and 40s is inherently dance music. So our goal with our strumming hand is going to be to make people dance, at least make ourselves want to dance a little bit. And that's how we know that we're doing everything right. And this is actually a lot easier than it seems. You can go off and you can learn a lot of fun strumming patterns. There's a lot of fancy strums that you can do in the swing world. But if you don't have a good foundation to build upon, all of that's not going to groove and it's just going to distract from your playing. So the most important thing in doing this style of music is keeping a nice steady pulse. This music's all in 4. So we're just going to do 4 down strums per measure. That's it. So let's put down our C major chord and just strum along with me. And we're going to talk about how to change this and get the feel that we really want that bounce. So for right now, just 4 even down strums, either your thumb or your index, whatever you want. Here we go. Good. Now, a couple things that we want to think about while we're doing this is we want to be efficient with our strum, right? We never need big, exaggerated motions. But the other thing you want to keep in mind when you're playing this music is that we want to come through the strings very quickly. We want to kind of whip the wrist through the strings like this. If you're playing with the thumb, it can be like this, index finger like this. Either's fine. You just get kind of a different attack to the note. So we're strumming around on this quarter note, right? We want to make sure we can do this evenly before we start adding anything else. I know it seems like such a simple thing to do, but we kind of want to meditate on this a little bit. Get that feeling going. Forget about the strumming hand. Just let it be natural. That's our goal in all of this. All right, now the other thing we want to start to think about is what's the subdivision, or really in swing music, what's that ride cymbals doing? So we're like having this swung 8th note. Ta, 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 ta. We want to feel that even though we're not playing it. It's so important to feel that subdivision all the time because all of the syncopated rhythms that we can do, all of that is built off of feeling that syncopation. But we need to be able to feel that while we're just keeping the pulse here. So we're feeling da 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 da. And even though we're not playing it on the strings, every time you do a down strum, there's an up strum right after it, right? So really you are playing that. And we want to feel that da 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 da. That up strum should lay with that second little subdivision of the beat, that swung 8th note. And everyone's swing is a little bit different. My swing's not going to be the same as yours. It's not precise. that's kind of the beauty of it, is you get your own artistic representation of what swing is, how far apart those two notes, those long, short, long, short, long. Right? Like Louis Armstrong's a lot different than John Coltrane when he swings. Paul Whiteman doesn't swing very much at all. And that's okay, and that's very much dance music. But we always have this subdivision that's a little off, little syncopated. Da, 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 da. The other thing we want to think about is our accented notes. Every style of music has built-in accents. Every downstrum is not the same. I think my video froze, but it'll come back in 1 second. Just keep strumming with me. We're all good. So we're just strumming together. There I am. So our accents in swing music, we're going to talk about them. We're not going to play them. We're playing even fours right now. Our accents are going to be on 2 and 4. That's where that hi-hat symbol is closing. So we think about we're going that hi-hat symbol closing with the left foot, right? That's kind of our accent. There's a lot of different ways that we can do it. So what we're going to think about now is doing it with dynamics. All right, which means how loud or soft they are, which are our normal thing to think about, right, is make 2 and 4 louder. There are accented beats. And I want you to think exactly the opposite of that. What we're going to do is bring back 1 and 3 a little bit. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to be a huge difference between them. We'll talk about a couple different ways to get this accented as well, because dynamics aren't the only way. It's not just loud or soft. We just want to make 2 and 4 pop out a little bit, right? So you can bring back 1 and 3 is one way to do it. The other way that we can do it is we can actually do a partial strum. I'm going to keep strumming. I have to skip ads on here. There we go. We don't want to be interrupted with ads while we're playing uke. The other way that we can do is we can do a partial strum on 1 and 3. So maybe we aim to just hit the C and G strings. If we hit the E, it doesn't matter. So we get partial, full, partial, full. It's another way to do it. We want to experiment with different ways we can do the accents, that we can find that feeling that we're looking for, that sound that we have in our head, the music that we like to listen to. What I hear isn't the same as you, and that's okay. It's about exploring and finding your own sound. So back to just even 4s. Now, one other way that we can do accents, right? So we have dynamics. We can make 2 and 4 louder or 1 and 3 softer. We can do a partial strum on 1 and 3 to make 2 and 4 pop out more. The other thing that we can do is we change the tonality of the uke where we strum. So what we can do is we can do a softer strum up here on 1 and 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm greatly exaggerating. I'd really be moving maybe this far. So we have 1 up here, 2 back here, 3 up here, 4 back here. So I was making like a figure 8 motion on the instrument while you're playing. And I do this a lot in very small ways. It's a good way to kind of change the sound of the instrument, get that accent without feeling like you're forcing it out of the instrument. Right, so we go back to our full strums now. Right? So we have 4 different ways. Did I say 4? We have 3. So we have 1 more to go. We have dynamics, right? We have loud and soft. We have partials. We're changing where we're strumming on the instrument. These are all ways to do it. Here's our 4th one. I knew there were 4. So the other thing is we can actually mute 2 and 4. So we go. I usually don't do this with open chords too much. We can make those shorter. We'll talk about some of the other chords that are closed that we're going to do today, how we can do this. And let's stop here. Let's take a little break and stretch out our hands and feel good about life. Right? So when we're thinking about the right hand, the key to this, because we're going to add in a little bit more now, is just to keep those steady 4s going. And in the back of your mind, have that subdivision, or I think about it really as having the band in your head. You want to have a drum and bass player behind you going, doom, 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 da, dee, da, da. You want to feel that yourself. And one of the best ways that you can do to practice this, because this is not something you can read off of a sheet of music and magically get perfect, or even watch a tutorial with me showing you how to do it and get this perfect. The way to do this is pull up the old recordings. Fats Waller's recordings are my favorite ones for doing this with, and strum along with the band. And you can just do an open strum so you don't have to worry about chords. So you're feeling that subdivision along with one of those great bands. Pick whatever band you really like. It doesn't matter at all. And just strum along with them, because you'll find that your right hand, your strumming hand, is going to find ways to coax out how strong that 2 and 4 accent is, how wide that subdivision is, that da, 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 that swing rhythm in there. And your right hand's going to gravitate to it because you're hearing it and you're making the physical motion along with a band, hopefully, that's doing it really, really well. So that's why I love doing it with Fats Waller. Count Basie's rhythm section is another great one just to strum along with. And really what you're doing is you're pretending to be the drummer, because that's our right hand's job. Is it's our drum kit on the uke. All of this doesn't matter if this isn't solid, because we have to go back to the initial thing, which is this dance music, right? So we want to keep that nice bounce. If we can't make ourselves dance, we're not going to make anyone else dance. So let's go back to our straight 4s, and you play the accents however the heck you want. It doesn't matter. And we're going to add in some other strums here, right? So here's our 4s just on C again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the big is come through the strings quickly, not hard, but come through fast. We want to hear that full chord, because think of hitting a drum, right? It's rhythmic. That's what's so important about this music. We don't want to hear, right? If I go to my thumb, you can get it too. So you probably know, I usually play with my thumb. Unless it's an up-tempo swing tune, I'll be with my thumb hanging out. But today I'm going to use my index. So we had that subdivision, right? So we want to think about this downstroke. This is our always going sort of thing. And that subdivision, which is our upstrokes. Ta, 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 ta. Let's add in those upstrokes. Up with the index. If you're playing with thumb, up with the index as well. Down with the thumb, up with the index. Right? And always with those upstrokes, be light. Hit just the A and A strings. You don't want to do, right? We want that. That's what we want to feel. But I don't want to do this all the time. I don't want to go, that's not swing. It's more of a ragtimey foxtrot kind of feel, right? So if we're back on our C here, what we're going to do is we're just going to pepper in the 8th notes when we feel it. If you listen to swing bands, this happens a lot on the ride cymbal, is you kind of feel a way that you want to get that upstroke in there. So 1, oh, there's an upstroke. There's another one. Just a couple little upstrokes in there as you're playing. Let's bring that tempo back a little bit, just so you can focus on this. And I'm going to play the straight rhythm. All right, I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4. And you add in some upstrokes, wherever the heck you feel like it. All right? It's up to you. But we want to feel the whole time. Ta, 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 ta. So we're placing those within that swing rhythm, right? There we go. Pepper in some of those up strums in there. I'll get some in too. Good. And really, that's all we need. There's a lot of other strokes we can do, but until you get really solid with just down and up strokes, you don't want to throw in triplets. You don't want to throw, you can. There's a lot of things that we can do in here, but all of that builds upon just having these basic down and up strokes, all right? So with this swing rhythm, what you want to do is go play with recordings or go to my play-alongs and play along with me. That's okay too, but I'm not as good as Fats Waller. I'm not nearly as good as Count Basie's band. It's not even close. So I highly recommend going to those source recordings with any music that you play. That's the best way to learn it, is by listening. So let's learn our first little song here. We're just going to keep that swing rhythm in mind while we're doing it. So we're going to learn Please Don't Talk About Me While I'm Gone. Simple little tune. But the way that we want to do this, instead of reading off the song sheet, as I said earlier, if you did go download the PDF off my website, just kind of flip it over or push it off to the side right now. We want to try to learn this without the sheets. Because what we're going to do here, this is what's called a circle progression, and please don't talk about when I'm gone. So if we go through this tune, everything leads back to C here. What we're really doing is going around kind of the circle of fourths here. And I'm going to admit something right here. I've never in my life sat down and memorized the circle of fifths and fourths. I know it by heart, but I never actually sat down with a wheel and tried to figure it out or memorize any of that. I learned it through playing tunes like this. And to me, this is the best way to learn music theory concepts, is in songs. Learn them in practice so you know what these things sound like. So when I started learning these circle progressions, I was like, oh, this chord goes to this chord, and that one leads me to this chord, and that ends up going around the circle of fourths. You end up learning your circle by doing that. So our first chord in here is C. All right, put down C chord, and it's going to go to E7. This is our 3 chord, C, D, E. So E7, 1, 2, open 2. Now the secret is all of these dominant 7th chords, whenever we're on a 7th chord, it pulls our ear to want to resolve up a 4th, where you can just count 4 notes away, right? E, F, G, A. It wants to go to A. We're going to play A7th after that. So we're going to C, E7th, A7th. And hear how those chords just naturally lead into each other. And we want to think of those as the direction of the harmony, not just these chords that exist. We're not playing C, E7th, A7th. We're playing C, which is home, and then we're going to a sound that takes us somewhere, and it's going exactly where it just wants our ear to go, which is resolving up to an A. But this A7th, right? Any kind of 7th chord is unstable. It wants to go somewhere. So we say, where do we have to go? We want to go 4 notes up. That's the safe bet, right? So A, B, C, D. Wants to go up to D. So it's going to come around. This is going around our circle, going around to D7th. And D7th is going to lead us up a 4th to G7th. Right, so these are all the chords that we're actually going to need for this entire song. And we're going to talk about how to make this sound a lot better. But it's actually very simple. We're coming around our circle. So we go C, E7th, A7th. Hang out there for an extra bar. D7th. You can play your Hawaiian D7th if you want. It doesn't matter. All D7ths are the same. G7th. And G7th is very important. G7th is our 5 chord in the key of C. Wants to bring us back home. That's what it wants to do. All right, so we're just going to take this. This is the A section of this song. There's a B section, but you already know it. That's the best part. So we're going to strum through this A section a few times just as a circle. What I want you to do is recognize this not as individual chords, but as a chord progression that's going like this, that's going from C and bringing us back to C in this nice, beautiful way. And that's how we want to think about the motions of these chords. So we think about this as a full chord progression as opposed to individual chords. We'll be able to recognize that progression in other songs when we go to learn them. And we'll realize that by learning this song right here, Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone, we're learning about 10 other songs. And in addition to that, we're learning about 50 bits and pieces of other big songs, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's just go around this circle here so we can hear the timing for it. Back to just our straight 4s. I'm frozen again. It's okay, but we're going on C. 1, 2, 3, 4 on C. E7, A7. This is going to be H strums. D7, G7, and C. One more time. We're going around C, E7, A7. D7th, G7th, and back to C. All right, how are we feeling about that in the comments? Let me know. Pretty easy, right? Pretty easy little tune to go around. So now we need to think about what the form of the song is. We know all of our chords already. So the form of Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone is one of the 2 major song forms that we see in swing and an early American songbook repertoire, which is the A form, which means we have two of the same thing, two 8-bar sections that are the same. Then we have a bridge that's a little bit different. And then we have the A section. We bring back that main theme. So we don't actually have to learn 32 measures of music. We have two 8-measure phrases that we have to learn. But let's check out that B section real fast. The B section of this song, as I said, you already know all of the chords. All it does is instead of starting on C, it just starts right at the circle. So it starts on an E7 and goes through the chords in the same order. So we get E7, A7, D7, G7. That's our bridge. We're just dropping the C and the chords are now twice as long. So let's try the bridge. The bridge is now going to be 8 strums on each chord starting on E7. Then we're ready to try the entire form. We can talk about how to make it swing a little bit better after this. So let's start on E7, 8 strums a piece now. 1, 2, 3, 4. E7, A7, D7, G7. That's our entire bridge, right? It's just a section, the A section. But the important thing to note about this bridge is 3, 6, 2, 5 bridge. This is what's called our rhythm changes bridge, because this was first published in George Gershwin's I've Got Rhythm, is this bridge. And it is one of 3 stock bridges that are used in so many swing era tunes. So if you learn just this chord progression here, you're going to go to learn another song and you're going to look at it and you go, well, that's the same thing. So we want to think again about this E7th, A7th, D7th, G7, 3, 6, 2, 5. We want to think about this progression as our rhythm changes bridge. So we run across another song that either we hear it in or we're looking at a sheet of paper and we see the same sequence, the same progression of chords. Go, oh, well, that's my rhythm changes bridge. My fingers already know what to do here. And once you get past that and you start learning chord inversions, you go, oh, well, I could play this. I could play all my inversions of those chords too. So you learn these once and then you start recognizing other tunes and using them. Now let's take this bridge for a moment and talk about, we're not going to do a bunch of chord inversions today. We're going to keep the chords really simple, but that doesn't mean that we can't have fun with them. So we said this is our drummer, right? Our right hand is our drummer that provides our rhythm, but our fretting hand can also give us quite a bit of rhythm. And in the bridge of this, it's actually really easy to do. We can use my favorite trick for adding rhythm, right? So we're playing the bridge like this. This is what the bridge sounds like. Now, all I'm going to do is one simple thing that you don't have to think about what chords you're playing. You just need to do a movement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my favorite game, which is slide it on back. So I'm going to take some of these chords. I'm just going to slide them back a fret to provide movement to the chord. I'm not substituting anything. I'm just adding movement to the chord. So it'll sound something like this. So I take my E7. Just sliding the chord shape around. So let's take this really slow and watch my hands while I'm doing this. All I'm doing is taking my bridge section, my 3, 6, 2, 5, E7, A7, D7, G7, and I'm going to slide it back. And there's no right time to slide it back. There's no wrong time to slide it back. You just don't want to stay there for too long. I'm usually going to slide it back and forth. So I'm going to play the straight changes. I'm not going to do anything else on here. I'm going to play without sliding back. And I want you to take these and slide it back. So our E7th would be slide it like that. So the first finger gets released, right? Because we're playing our open G there. We're at the A7th. We don't really have any fingers down. So you can just lift that up if you want. You can do that. D7, you slide the entire chord back. Get that motion. And G7th is one of my personal favorites because you actually slide into a diminished chord. G7th, slide back. So we end up with open 1, open 1. But I'm not thinking about this as, oh, I'm going down to G diminished 7th here. No, I'm just sliding this chord back. And you can slide them up too as you will. Right? just slide around a fret. Chromatic movement is a hallmark of this, but it allows you just to add a little bit more rhythm. If you're chugging along doing this, right, you have this ability to add something to it without doing a fancy strum over here. And we're adding to the harmony, we're adding to the rhythm. So let's play this bridge again, starting on E7 to A7 to D7 to G7. I'll play it straight, you slide the chords back now. 1, 2, 3, 4. To A7, slide it back whenever you want. Just lift up that first finger right now. Up to D7, and slide it on back. Or up to G7. Try to get back to E7. D7. G7. Especially as we speed it up, this can start to be a really effective way, because when we're at a fast pace on a tune like this, even if we want to throw in a bunch of chord substitutions, it becomes tough, even for great players, to be able to throw in all this stuff while we're going at breakneck speed. But when we're fast, just sliding it back kind of gets that same effect with a lot less effort, which is really nice, because then we can focus more time again on playing music and less on worrying, oh, what am I supposed to do here? So that's our bridge. We have a 3-6-2-5 that's really important. It's our rhythm changes bridge. We see it all over the place. So let's try going through this whole form now. So we want to think about this as two distinct chunks of music, right? It's not 32 measures. It's two sections that we need. So the first one starts on C and then goes around our circle, E7th, A7th, D7th, G7th. The second chunk just starts on the E7th, does the same movement. So let's try this together. I'll call out the chords the first time through, and then I'm going to just call out the sections of the tune the second time. I'll call it A, which is the one that starts on the C chord, and B, which is the one that starts on our E7. So first time through, I'll walk you through all the changes, then we'll sing it together, and then we'll look at where we can find the same progression in some other songs. Here we go. 1, 2, 3 on C. E7. Going around that circle, right? A7. Slide it back if you want. D7. G7. And C. Hanging out here. We're going to repeat that section again. C. E7. A7. D7. G7 to C. Now here comes our bridge sections. We're going to go right to E7. 2, 3, 4. It's twice as long. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at A7. D7. G7. And we're back to our A section on C. E7, A7, D7, G7, C. All right, here's the top. I'm just going to call it the section. So here's our A section starting on C. A section again. Here comes our bridge section. Where are we starting? E7 and around the circle. And G7. Back to our A section. G7. Now we're ready to sing it. It goes like this. Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. In my mind, though our friendship ceases from now on. If you can't say anything real nice, it's better not to talk at all. That's my advice. Here's our bridge. You go your way, I go mine. It's best that we do. Here's a kiss. I hope that this brings lots of luck to you. Makes no difference how I carry on. Better, please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Keep going. 5'2", eyes of blue. Oh, it's the same. Oh, what those 5 foot could do. Is anybody see my gal? I'll play this one before this is the uke world. Turn up nose, turn down hose. Never had another beau. Is anybody see my gal? Here's our bridge. Is it the same? Well, if you run into artists 5'2", all covered with pearl, diamond rings and all those things, I bet your life is in her. Oh, could she woo? Could she coo? Could she coo? Anybody see my gal? Let's try another one. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Pretty close, not exactly it. Or, something like, all of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good with? And then it changes there, but we get a chunk of all of me in there as well. But just proof that we get a bunch of different tunes out of this. I was just saying, not every tune's going to be exactly the same chords, but if we start recognizing these chord progressions and chunks of songs, as opposed to just thinking about the song itself, these are the chords that go with that song, we have the ability to learn music a lot faster. And this goes for really any genre of music that you like. We're talking about swing and early jazz because that's most of what I play. And if you want to learn this music, thinking about it in this way as opposed to individual tunes is so much more efficient and will allow you so much more time to just play music, which is why we're here, so we can play music. So next time you're going through a song, see if you can recognize these same chord movements, because I bet you already know some other tunes that have these same exact chords in them. And obviously we want to do this in different keys. Everything's not in the key of C. We're doing it for the sake of simplicity today, to keep them all in the same key. But if we look at many other tunes, you see the same exact movements of chords within them, even if it's in a different key. So we got one more tune that we need to learn today. But first I get to do my little advertisement, which is I actually see a lot of Magic Ukulele Club members here today in the chat, and that makes me very happy. But if you like what we do here on YouTube, you're going to like the Magic Ukulele Club even more, because we do this almost every week. Not quite every week. We have a live show. We do have at least one recorded lesson every week. And we go through songs slowly. That's my goal over there, is to soak in the music. So we just do one tune per month, and we do about 3 hours of lessons on one tune, so that by the end of the month, you actually know the song. You know all the different chord inversions you can use for it. You know how to play the melody. You know chord substitutions. You know how to solo over top of the chord changes. You know how to strum through it. You have a backing track to play with, because that's my goal here in life, is get you playing more music and having fun with it. So if you like what we do and you want to do more of this swing and jazz uke, learn more about improvisation and all of the crazy chords, join us over on the Magic Ukulele Club. And there's a button there on the website with the PDF that you should go get for this workshop anyway, so you can remember all these things we're talking about, and you can go join over there. And this month we're working on Fats Waller's I'm Gonna Sit Right Down and Write Myself a Letter, which I'll play for you at the very end of this live stream. But we have another tune to learn. We only have about 20 minutes or so. The question is, can we do it? So I'm gonna teach you one of my favorite tunes here, which was the big hit was in 1927. It was originally written in 1924. And this is a little tune called My Blue Heaven. And we're going to do the first thing that we should always do when we go to learn a new song is many of you that are here might have never heard this song before, or at least don't know it by name. I would bet that the vast majority of you have heard it at some point in your life. But we should listen to the song. Right? So I'm going to play a little bit of this tune for you, and then we're going to talk about how to learn this, how to use the knowledge we learned from that last song, build upon that so we can learn this one faster, because that's our goal. Days ending, birds are wending back to the safety of every little thing they love. Night shades calling, lovers calling, what makes that world go round? Nothing but love. When whippoorwill call, evening is nigh, we'll hurry to my blue heaven. Step to the right, little while light will lead you to my blue heaven. You see a smiling face, a fireplace, cozy room, a little loveness that nestles where those roses bloom. Just Molly and me, the baby makes three, so happy in my blue heaven. It's a good whistling solo on the record. You'll see a smiling face, a fireplace, a cozy room, little loveness that nestles where those roses bloom. Just Molly and me, the baby makes three. Yes, indeed, we're so happy in my blue heaven. That's My Blue Heaven. Fun little tune. We're not going to learn the verse here today for this one. So if you were listening closely while I was playing that, I was trying not to play too many of the open position chords. You might have heard some of the similar chord movements that we had in that last song. So we're still in the key of C here. Remember, our goal is to think about big picture chord progressions. And whenever we have a dominant chord, a seventh chord, thinking about where does it want to go? Because about 85% of the time, I'm making up statistics here, about 85% of the time, it's going to go where it's supposed to go. Of course, there's always surprises. It'll take you somewhere else. And that makes a song very unique. And that's a good way to remember a song too, is this is the unique thing that song does. A lot of times it's just kind of going to do what we want it to do. So we're starting out on C. When whippoorwill call, and evening is night, It's our next chord. We're going to go down to A7. So we don't have that E7 like we used to have in there, right? Let's think about something. In the other song, when we're playing Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone, where does A7 take us to, right? It always wants to go up that fourth. So what if this song, once we get to the A7, just kind of goes around our circle again? What if it does the same thing where it goes A7, remember, wants to lead us to D7. D7 wants to lead us to G7, and that brings us right back to where we end, right? So what if all we have to remember is I need to get to an A7, and then everything else just goes how I want it to go. See if it works. So we start on C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come, evening is nigh, down to A7. Does it go to D? Hurry to my, it does. G7, my blue heaven. Let's throw a big G7 here. Step to the right, C. We're going to go down to A7, the little white light, down to A7. Round the circle, D7, G7, C. So by knowing the other tune and knowing how chord progressions want to work, we were able to learn this song really fast, right? Now we need to learn the bridge still, but this A section is very similar to what we did before. We just have to remember to get to that A7, come around our circle. So let's see if we can play the A section. And if you were listening closely while I was playing this, you'll know that this has the same form as Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone. This is also A, B, A. We have two sections. They're the same, two A major sections, something different, and then bringing us back to A to bring the tune home. So we're going to play two of these A sections in a row. So let's try it. Let's start out on a C. We're going to strum that for 3 measures. That goes down to an A7. Everything just goes around. A7, D7, G7. We're back to C. All right, let's play it. 75% of the way through this tune. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-da-da-da-day. Down to A7. Where's it go? Ba-da-da-day. D7 to G7. That brings us back home. Da-da-da-da. Stop on G7. Ba-ba-ba-dee. I'm not going to call out the chords this time. Ba-da-da-dee. Ba-da-da-dee. Bo-da-da-dee-dee. Let's do it one more time. Ba-ba-ba-bee. Ba-do-da-da-da-dee. Da-da-dee. Da-da-bo-dee-dee. Bo-da-da-dee-dee. I know I said one more time. Let's do it once more. Remember, we can slide our chords back. Ba-da-dee. Ba-da-da-da-dee. Do-dee. Do-da-da-dee-dee. It's effective here. One more time. Slide your chords back. Dee. Ba-da-da-da-dee. Da-da-dee. Da-da-dee-dee. Dee-dee-dee. Here's the last time, and we land on C7. And we haven't seen a C7th yet today, but you've probably played a C7th because we're uke players. We play in the keys of C, F, and G most of the time. So tell me, where does a C7th usually want to go? Remember, we want to resolve up to a fourth, right? So does that hold true? We know that we have a C7 at the end of this A section. Where does that want to go? It wants to go to F. So does the bridge start on F? You see a smiling face, a fireplace. It does. So we have C7th. And then our bridge starts on F. Oh, we haven't had an F chord yet. So what's going to happen here? Let's see if there's anything that we know in this bridge, anything that we've already seen today. So the first thing we get is a nice big surprise chord. And it's beautiful. So we go from F to A7. But if you're paying attention closely, this is actually the same chord progression. We're just in a different key. F to A. It's going from our now 1 chord to our 3 chord, which is pretty neat. So that A7th, isn't that crazy? We've actually seen this before, just in a different key. The space between C and E7 is the same space that we have between F and A7, right? So we've actually seen the same exact chord movement today in Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone. It's the opening chord movement there. So we go F. And we've seen an A7th. Where does an A7th want to go? We saw this today already, right? It goes to a D. Now, before we went to a D7th, Whenever we're talking about movements of chords, we're talking about root movement, the name of the chord. It wants to go to a type of D chord, not necessarily a D7th. And that's what makes this song unique here, is that it doesn't go to a D7th like we had in the other tune, but it does go to a D. It goes to a D minor chord. So our opening 4 measures of the bridge are F, A7th, D minor. All right, let's try that together. So we're at F, A7th, D minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, A7th, D minor. And we stay there. Now we go back to our theory of the circle progression, right? These chords want to move in and out of each other. Where does D usually want to go to? Well, it wants to go to G, right? Our next chord's a G7th. So we go from D minor now to G7th, a very nice 2-5-1 progression. And another one of these progressions that the Magic Ukulele Club members here know that I harp about all of the time because we see it everywhere in jazz standards, 2-5-1 progressions. So we have our D moving to a G7th. G7th wants to bring us back to C, right? And it indeed does. And then we just hop back to end on G7 at the end of the bridge. So let's walk through the bridge together. I'm going to call out the chords, but I always want you to be aware the movement of the chords, right? What's happening here? Where are these big chunks? And we can think about this bridge section as really 2 distinct things. We land on F. We need that big landing point. We need to remember that the bridge goes to the 4 chord. It goes to F. Then has this tricky 3 chord, this A7th, but that takes us where we want, to D minor. And then the second half of a bridge is usually serving its purpose to bring us back home because this is an A, B, A form. So the second half of the bridge needs to get us back to that A section. It's so important. So the back half of the bridge, what do we have? We have this G7th that wants to bring us back to A, to that C major chord, right? To our A section. So here's our bridge. Starting on F. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, that sneaky 3 chord A7th, D minor. Brings us where we want, G7th, nice. And up to C, and G7th. Now let's try the whole bridge again. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, A7th, D minor. Hanging out on G7th for a moment. It wants to go back to C, but not quite yet. Back to C. And G7th. There's our entire bridge. Let's hear it with the lyrics. See if we can get through this without me yelling out the chords. 1, 2, 3. You'll see a smiling face, fireplace, cozy room, a little love nest that nestles where those roses bloom. Back today, just Molly and me. Where does it go after this? Down to an A7. Baby makes 3, yes indeed. Around the circle to D7. So happy in my G7, my blue heaven. Big G7 at the end, and we're at the top. Da 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 dee, ba da dee, da da dee, D7. Coming all around G7. Bo da da dee dee. And we repeat that. Ba 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 dee. Ba da da dee. Bo da 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 dee. Bo da da dee da. C7, where's it go to F? You'll see a smiling face. A7, smiling face, a cozy room. There's our D minor. Over to the G7. A little love nest that nestles where those roses bloom, and we stop. Just Molly and me. The baby makes 3, yes indeed. We're so happy in my blue heaven. And that's the basics of the tune. And whenever you're learning a new song, it's important to go through it like this, even if you're a more advanced player. When I go learn a new song, the first thing I go do is listen to it, and I just suss out the very basic chord chords. I don't care about the flat nines with the 13s on there. That doesn't matter. It matters that I can get the basic quality of it. I know it's a G7. I can add some junk on top of that if I want. And getting the basic harmony is the most important step of getting to these basic chords. A lot of times in the uke world, when we go look for a chart, we find charts with 10,000 chords on them. And I'll tell you that no song needs that many chords. And I'm a man that plays way too many chords in my life. But the freedom to put your own harmony on top of that is what makes it fun. But to be able to do that, even if you know all of your fun chords and your different inversions and your voicings up the neck, you need to know where we can use them, which means you need to know the basic harmony to a tune. Learn a song like this, no matter where you're at. Go learn 5 songs like this and realize how many bits and pieces of these are all exactly the same. All right. And you'll learn a lot of music theory around the way. You'll learn a lot of common chord progressions along the way. And that's just going to leave you more time to play music. So before we get going today, I'm gonna play our Magic Ukulele Club Song of the Month for everyone. I just want to say thank you for joining me, and thank you everyone for hanging out today and strumming along with me on Saturday. Big thank you to the Magic Ukulele Club members that are here. I really love playing music with you all. So here's the tune we're working on this month. It's a little Fats Waller popularized song. The mailman passes by, and I just wonder why he never stops to ring my front doorbell. Well, there's not another line from that dear old love of mine. No, not a word since I last heard farewell. Well, I'm gonna sit right down, write myself a letter, and make believe it came from you. I'm gonna write words oh so sweet, they're gonna knock me off my feet. A lot of kisses on the bottom, I'll be glad I got 'em. I'm gonna smile and say, I hope you're feeling better. Well, and close with love the way that you do. See, I'm gonna sit right down, write myself a letter, now and make believe that it came from you. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter. Well, and make believe now it came from you. I'm gonna write words oh so sweet, they're gonna knock me off my feet. Love kisses on the bottom, I'll be glad I got 'em. I'm gonna smile and say I hope you're feeling better. Now and close with love the way that you do. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter. Well, and make believe it came. Now make believe it came. Well, make believe it came from you. Thank you all so much. I'll see you all soon.